Welcome back to Conversations with Lumi. It's your boy Lumi, and I'm excited to be back here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening from. If this is your first time listening to my podcast, or if you have not yet subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. So kindly hit the subscribe button right now. It's the like button, follow, do everything. Click on the post notification button so you can know when I post a new video. Okay, today I'm going to be sharing something really cool. Just last 2 weeks, I traveled out of the United States, and this is just like a vlog-ish. My attempt to do this whole content creation thing. Let's see if it was successful or not. I'm pretty sure I didn't get I'm pretty sure I didn't get the video for every experience I had in this journey. So last 2 weeks, heads up, I'm an international student in the United States. So my visa would be expiring in like 3 months from now, and I had done some research on how to go about renewing my visa without necessarily traveling back home to Nigeria. And I got some resources, and I finally decided to go to Dominican Republic. This was a bit scary for me and something new. I know adulthood and all of that, independency and all of that, but I still have a bit of my African paranoia. So very careful, trying to make sure I do the right thing. And finally I decided to go to Dominican Republic. And I've always known that those places are like fancy vacation places and all of that. So it was quite exciting for me to go on this journey, because aside from going to renew my visa, I also get to see beautiful places. And I think I had a bit of an experience, a beautiful experience. All right, so it was about 3 a.m. I was being driven to the airport by my roommates. I barely slept the night before, so my whole face was swollen and all of that. It was a 1-hour drive to Detroit, because I stay in Toledo. To Detroit airport. I got there, and then I had booked American Airlines, so it was a pretty easy check-in. I did my check-in, and then I went through TSA and through the different checkpoints. It was pretty smooth. I think the flight was 5:59 a.m. about 6 a.m. in the morning. I was meant to fly to Miami, Florida first, and that would be my layover. I think I had like a 2-hour layover, and then I was going to fly to Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo specifically. Yeah, I slept throughout the entire journey, because once again I had probably had like 2.5 hours sleep the night before, so definitely I was really sleep deprived. Yeah, the flight was cool, nothing much. I think we had cookies, and I had juice for just for snack on the plane. We landed in Miami. That was when I realized, guys, that Miami is mostly populated by Spanish speaking people. To think that there is a state in the United States where even in the airports the announcements are being said in Spanish and English. I was like, I had to Google like straight up, is Miami a Spanish speaking city? I was like, and they said yes. I was like, how? And it clicks, because Miami is actually close to many of the Caribbean countries, where, Spanish speaking countries like Dominican Republic. By the time I was getting to Dominican Republic, I knew something was different. It felt like Nigeria. Yeah, one of the major things I needed to sort out was internet, because I knew I was going to need internet. My carrier wasn't available in Dominican Republic. I think most of the carriers that are available are maybe the popular ones in the US, AT&T, Verizon, and all of that. But I was using something different, so I had to go get a modem. Before now I knew that I had to depend on Apple Translate. So that was how I was communicating to people. I finally found a place to get a modem, buy a SIM card, so I could put the SIM card in the modem, and then I got everything fixed up so I could order my Uber and to drive straight to my Airbnb. I did plan this trip to some extent. I had booked my Airbnb 3 weeks before my trip and my flight and all of that. So yeah, I got into my Uber. My Uber driver was nice. And one of the things I found out, they would try to speak in Spanish with you, and then when you say you don't speak Spanish, it's like, okay, we have to depend on the apps. Thank God for technology. You could use Google Translate, you could use Apple Translate. So I came prepared. All right, so I came prepared. I turned on my app and then started talking to my Uber driver. It was a 1 hour drive from the airport to my Airbnb. I didn't think it was going to be that far, but it was refreshing. It was nice to see the ocean day. Oh my God, guys. It felt like vacation, right? It felt like vacation for me. I felt at home. Except for the fact that I had to rely on the app to communicate. So communication was quite a barrier. I got to my Airbnb, once again in Spanish. I had to rely on my app to communicate with the concierge that helped me, check in, because it was sort of like an hotel, but like guest rooms and all of that. So this was where I needed help, right? Because all day, all I ate was biscuits and cookies and juice. So I needed to get real food, and by real food I meant real food. But unfortunately I couldn't get real food just while I was downstairs at my Airbnb, because there are other guests in the Airbnb. And then I found someone who I thought might be African, so I walked up to him and I was like, do you speak English? Guys, to my amazement, he was a Nigerian. All right, so he was like, oh my God, what are the odds that you find a Nigerian in the same Airbnb you're staying? And he also came for his visa renewal, so he was like, thank you, Lord. Because I was stressed already. I didn't even know what to do. And then he told me about using Uber Eats. I'm like, oh, that's true. I could actually use Uber Eats. I was actually Googling, checking online for places to order food and all of that. I could have spent more if I didn't check Uber Eats, or if I didn't see, someone to link me up. Basically, also day one was pretty there. I had Popeyes. I keep making that mistake. I had Popeyes for dinner, which was pretty much not enough. The next day I had my biometrics, so I went to the biometric center. That's the visa application center, and I was trying to keep my phone at a storehouse, or where there was like a cyber cafe where you could keep your phones and your gadgets and all of that. And then I met another dude, and the first question I asked him was, do you speak English? Like, help me out here. And I was like, yes. And then he saw my Nigerian passport. I was like, Baba, we did that. You just switched to pidgin English, I was like, oh my God, second Nigerian I'm meeting in 24 hours. It was so good. Initially I had planned to visit about a couple of places, but at the same time I was skeptical, so I kind of just laid aside my plans because I didn't want to, get too adventurous in a place where I wasn't necessarily familiar with. But with these guys, what are the odds that 3 people go missing? I had 3 places in mind. There is something called like a cable ride in Dominican Republic. It's called Teleférico. I think Teleférico. I don't know how it's pronounced. And then there was another place. These are cheap places where you can go. 3i National Park, 3i Cave, I think. Yeah. And then there was obviously the beach. One of the places you want to check out are the beaches in Dominican Republic. Yeah. So the second day, this was the second day in Dominican Republic, we went for the Teleférico ride. It cost about $1 thereabout, maybe $1 something for the ride to and fro. And I know, I mean, you wouldn't know if you are afraid of heights until you get into a space that is not an airplane, right? When you get into an airplane, you're like, oh yeah, you don't have to look down, all of that. But when you get into a small space where you can literally see, the buildings down, you probably think, yeah, I'm afraid of heights, that kind of stuff. I wasn't necessarily afraid, but the guys around me were afraid. Who knows, maybe if I go bungee jumping or one of those skydiving thing, I would I would definitely see if I'm really afraid of heights. But it was cool. It was cool to see the buildings and the city from that great height. It was really fun hanging out with these guys, people that are just seen in 24 hours. And then after this ride, we decided to go to the three cave thing, and then we went there. I think it was a beautiful place, and I'm glad we went close to say 3 p.m, 4 p.m, because there wasn't a lot of people. I had read some reviews online, and people had talked about, well, the grounds are slippery, there's usually a lot of people, sometimes they like to get more money from tourists, because you have to pay cash if you don't have internet and all of that. So I came prepared. I came with my modem. Internet was not going to be a problem. I actually give my guys hotspots, so they don't say, well, since your network is not going through, why don't you guys pay pesos, dollars, and all of that? They'll probably charge more for offline payments and all of that. So we got into there. I mean, it's quite some sights. Once again, we were famished. We had to look up places to get food. We found a really cool place. Our Uber driver helped us out because we had gone to a couple of places, and then seeing where we could get stuff like chicken, pork, and all of that, potatoes, plantains. Yeah, we pretty went for it, and it was so cheap, guys. It's like trying to eat real good stuff, but you're paying, in a currency that is like that you can afford a lot of things. The next day was my actual visa interview day, and it was pretty smooth. Got in, got out, got my visa approved, and then this was when we were actually going to go to the beach. The beach was also 1 hour away, and thankfully our Uber driver was nice to tell us that, all right, don't go to that beach, go to this beach, because they like to take advantage of people coming to visit, and then they'll make you buy stuff you don't need. So it was pretty cool. We got into this beach, and it was something. we ordered something because I was actually craving something like grilled fish, but they didn't have that at the moment, so we got some other type of fish with some stew and plantains and some really nice drink, and then we went obviously swimming in the beach. Oh well. But it was pretty fun. I mean, just relaxing in that space. And I think it was a private beach, so it was so quiet and it wasn't like so rowdy and all of that. So the experience was cool, and we're just three, myself and the guys I had just met. Imagine our shock after we found out how expensive our bill was. I was telling these guys, I hope we're not gonna pay for the table. I hope we're not gonna get bill, because this feels like some private thing we're doing. We could have gone to the public beach and everything is free except for the food and all of that. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, because I mean, if you had this kind of treats or vacation in somewhere else, you would probably spend more. Yeah. So the next day, I think my flight was scheduled for the next day. I had picked up my passport on the next day, and I was ready to come back to the United States. But this is where things got a bit, well, unexpected. All right. If you got to this point, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around. Once again, if you have not subscribed, you should. All right, you should. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, like this video, share with someone. Every time you like and you subscribe and you do all of those things, it tells YouTube and allows YouTube to push this content to other people, and then this can go far, and then that's your way of supporting me. So kindly support by liking, follow, hit the notification bell, and see you guys next time. Bye.